reciting sequentially from Bhagavad Gita, I understand, on your during your gathering. So we're in the middle of chapter 6, and the verses that we're going to be discussing are verses 8 and 9. I don't see all of you reaching for your Bhagavad Gita, so you can.
Yes.
So what I'll do is, oh, you do have Bhagavad Gita. Do you chant responsibly? Yes? No? Yes. Okay. You know the verses already, right? From memory? You're declining to take a book. That means you know the verse already. You have a, oh, you have one already. Did you memorize verses from Bhagavad Gita? Some. Handful. Chapter 6, text number 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samadosrangsha kanchana.
Samadosrangsha kanchana.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samalosrangsha kanchana.
Samalosrangsha kanchana.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Kutasto Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta Uchate Yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samalostramsa Kanchana.
Samalosrangsha kanchana.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Sito Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta iti yuchyate yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samaloshrama kanchana.
Samalosrangsha kanchana.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta iti yuchyate yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samaloshtramsha kanchana.
Samalosrangsha kanchana. Any ladies would like to chant?
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Jnana Vijnana Triptatma.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Utasto Vijitendriya.
Yukta ityuchyate yogi.
Yukta ityuchate yogi.
Samaloshtramsha kanchana.
Samalosrangsha kanchana. Jnana. By acquired knowledge. Vijnana. And realized knowledge. Chitta. Satisfied. Atma. A living entity. Kutastha. Spiritually situated. Vijit Vijita Indriyaha,
Vijita Indriyaha,
sensually controlled.
sensually controlled.
Yuktaha,
Yuktaha,
competent for self-realization.
competent for self-realization.
Iti, thus,
Thus,
Uchate
Uchate
is said.
is said.
Yogi,
Yogi,
a mystic.
a mystic.
Sama, equipoise.
Equipoise.
Nostra,
Nostra,
pebbles.
pebbles.
Ashma,
Ashma,
stones.
stone.
Kanchana,
Kanchana,
gold.
gold.
Translation: a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows: Takri Krishna namadi nabhavet grayam indriyai sevan mukhi jivada swayameva sparatyada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions, but by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. I want to discuss the next verse also because it connects to this one. But first we'll just do a little backdrop. It's like behind the deities, there's the deity dressed in the garland, but there's a backdrop behind, a nice setting. So this chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Dhyan Yoga, is describing, in a sense, it's part of the eightfold yoga system, Ashtanga yoga system. And Dhyan, Dharana, and Samadhi are the final three of those 8, and they have to do with the mind. And Prabhupada discusses this in the course of the 6th chapter. All of the yoga systems require fixing the mind. The opposite. There's no way to make spiritual progress if the mind is not controlled. I'll say it the other way. For spiritual progress, there must be the capacity to control the mind. Say it the other way. You cannot make spiritual progress if the mind is not controlled. So this dhyan yoga, in one sense, it's part of the Eightfold Yoga system. In a broader sense, it's part of any yoga system. Any yoga system requires control of the mind. And my dear devotees, it's Kali Yuga. And one of the symptoms of the Kali Yuga is the mind is always disturbed. I'm sure you've noticed. The mind is always disturbed. Chantala, very flickering, like flame, a candle flame in the wind. Very flickering. Unsteady, always disturbed. A section from Srimad Bhagavatam that expresses this in an expanded way comes from Lord Rishabdev. Now you know who Lord Rishabdev is. He's an incarnation of the personality of Godhead. And his son Bharat became the next king. That same narration, Bharat then became a deer, then became Jad Bharat. Same sort. Rishabdev was giving transcendental instructions to his 100 sons, headed by Bharat. And along with those instructions, he's giving this warning, strong warning. Don't invest value in the mind. Don't invest value in the thoughts within the mind, because it's like the flickering of a candle flame in the wind. Very unsteady. It does not, the unsteady mind doesn't permit experience of even getting a glimpse of transcendence. One is always disturbed. Just different degrees of disturbed. Always disturbed. So controlling the mind is necessary. And as Prabhupada is explaining in this purport, that control of the mind is made possible through Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is made possible through associating with those who are Krishna conscious. Or you receive bhakti from one who is carrying bhakti. How does bhakti begin? By associating with one who is carrying bhakti. Some of the bhakti in their bhakti vessel, their heart, spills on you, and you get some bhakti experience by that process of association. And of course, there's something on our side, we have to say yes instead of no. Yes, I'd like to learn more about bhakti. That's something we have to do, but it doesn't begin without association. Lord Chaitanya teaches, and at each of the successive stages of bhakti, up to the stage of uttam bhakti, association is imperative. Association with those that are carrying bhakti. Association with elevated souls. Prabhupada is saying someone who is in pure consciousness. We require that. You want to advance Krishna consciousness, associate with devotees who are striving at least to elevate themselves in pure consciousness. And then you can become advanced in Krishna consciousness, and then the mind can become controlled. How is it that that has to happen first? Because it's described in the purport, this jnana, our acharyas indicate, it's having some confidence or faith in Scripture. And as Prabhupada is pointing out, scholars, they have, in principle at least, faith in Scripture, but they cannot penetrate or understand the meaning of the Scripture just by scholarship. They'll come to wrong understanding, some understanding. Guaranteed they'll come to some understanding. Guaranteed it'll be a wrong understanding. It cannot be the right understanding without bhakti. And with bhakti, then it becomes vijnana, or a spiritual realization. So that's what hopefully all of us are assembled here for, is not only getting the message of Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse 8 and verse 9, awakened. The purpose of dhyan yoga is not just to become yogis, mystics, but to become better devotees. And understanding the process of how to become a better devotee. And the symptom mentioned in this verse is this spirit of neutrality towards objects of the world. Not that you don't see them, it's not that you don't relate with them, but you don't identify with them and place value in this one because it's gold, and I don't care so much about the other one because it's pebbles or stone. Each part of God's creation has a purpose, and so there's appreciation of something for its purpose and service to God, service to Krishna. It's not, in other words, the mentality of being a fruitive enjoyer is necessary for controlling the mind. You see the connection? I'll explain the connection. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he says, this message of chapter 6 is made possible by somebody who has accomplished chapters 3 and 5. He doesn't use those words, but has gone beyond the stage of attachment to the fruits of activity. Nishkam karma is his phrase. Kama means desire. Nishkama means without desire. And karma. Nishkam karma, activity that's done without the purpose of fruitive gaining something. In this world, people do something to get something. Called mode of passion. I want. And fill in the blank. So I do something to get what I want. Fruitive activity. The Vishwanath says the persons that are being described in this verse are persons who have accomplished the karma yoga to the stage of nishkam karma. They live their day-to-day life where they're not striving to fulfill some unfulfilled material desire. That's high, because all of us have some hankering for something. And as long as you're hankering for something, then you're not going to be able to fix the mind, because the mind is going to go to that thing that you want, and the activities you need to get the thing you want, and when you get it, how you're going to enjoy it, and so forth. That's the agitation of Kali Yuga. Above all, the mind is always disturbed. The verse says in the Bhagavatam, Manda samanda mateo, manda bhagya upadata. Prayena payushat shatya, kalavasmin yugejana, manda samanda mateo, manda bhagya upadata. Above all, always disturbed. Whatever else is going on, disturbed. So they'll go back. And Vishwanath is saying to get to that stage where the mind can be not disturbed, you have to have moved along on the path of nishkam karma. You have to have understood and lived the principle of performing duties without attachment to the results of those duties. Attachment to the results means trying to be the enjoyer of the result of your activity. Then you can become a yogi, because that's what is being described here. The yogi is fixed in the Atma. They're fixed in transcendence. They have realization. And in that powerful position, not just theoretical, but realization of the message of the scripture means realization of transcendence, realization of the soul, that's me, and Krishna, who is the master of the soul, that's him, and our relationship of service, I'm serving him. Then the mind can be fixed and controlled. And when the mind, the symptom is there's sama, or indifference, to the notion of being the enjoyer of something, of the world. And the simple example, it's like a classic thing. In this world, people are attracted to gold. Why? Because it's valuable. And when you have gold, then you can enjoy. You have wealth, and with wealth you can enjoy. At least that's the thought. Like Hiranyakashipu. The Hiranya part of his name means gold, get gold. His whole city of Lanka was gold. Gold this and gold that and gold everything. Gold. That's gratifying. The Kashipu part, Hiranya Kashipu means soft bed. Comfortable sleeping arrangement, and when you're awake, you'll get money. Enjoy. The mind's never peaceful like that. So the yogi is one who understands this important element, working in the world without attachment and fixing the mind on in transcendence. And then there is this neutrality towards objects. I'll just quickly go to the next verse because it's a stage even higher than being neutral towards objects. And that's being neutral towards different types of people. You know, the social interaction thing that happens in life. One may be not greedy for gold, but one may become happy with this kind of social environment and unhappy with that kind of social environment. And then the mind becomes unpeaceful or agitated. I'll just read text 9. There's no purport. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. Now, obviously, the distinctions are clear. So it means the person who is this elevated yogi, he can still see what's what. He can see, here's someone that's very kind. Here's someone that's very mean. Here's someone that's neutral. Here's someone that's trying to mediate between two parties. There's someone that's just, benefactor. They just like to bestow things upon others. There's some people that are just envious. So, being a yogi doesn't mean you can't see what's what. You can see what's what. But you see beyond the temporary, and you can see the soul within, and not be disturbed by the temporary because you see the soul within. This is essential. Spiritual conception, spiritual shelter is essential in order to become free from a disturbed state of mind. Otherwise, just get used to it, disturbed state of mind. There's no purport for text now. But it's explicit. That's a further advanced position. You can see what's what, but you're not disturbed, attracted, or repulsed by different features of duality. maybe a week ago, it was so hot. Mid-90s, very humid. And then all of a sudden some rain came and it was cool again. Let's see what happens next. But it's guaranteed to change, whatever it is for the moment. It's going to be something and something. If your happiness is dependent upon what configuration of duality there is at the moment, even if that looked like happiness to you, it's going to change and then it becomes unhappiness because that one's gone. So a yogi, one who is absorbed in dhyan, that dhyan is a stage of meditation upon the Supreme, that person remains undisturbed. They're in this state of neutrality towards material existence because of being situated in transcendence, or their absorption in the self, the absorption in the Supreme Self, and the relation between the self and the Supreme Self. That's their contentment. How did they get there? How can we get there? By association with those who are there. Those who are in pure Krishna consciousness. Then through that association we can take on qualities like those people. And one of the ways that we can associate with one in transcendence is regularly read Prabhupada's books, because he's one in transcendence. And you take on qualities like him just from reading. And now, if I say just from reading, there's one additional small element. You have to apply what you read. Small thing, just do what it says, or at least strive to apply these principles. Suppose somebody, just take some practical examples. Suppose somebody says something mean. I mean, from time to time it happens, somebody says something mean. There's different ways that you can respond depending upon the mode of nature that you're influenced by. So rather than describing some of those mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness responses, supposing you're in transcendence. Just close your eyes and imagine being in transcendence for a moment. And somebody says something mean. How do you respond to it? This is indicating with indifference. Why? Or how is it possible? It's possible when you're absorbed in the self and that the service in relation to the Supreme Self. There's no retaliation, no fear, no resentment. There's other kinds of feelings. The other kinds of feelings are the feelings of that the happiness of being in one's relationship with the Supreme. Then you can remain undisturbed, instead of being a victim of Kali, that's the condition where we're always disturbed, just in different degrees. They have to apply, at least try to apply, practice applying these teachings. It's all supported, I'll say one last thing, it's all supported by one thing. That one thing is that position of taking shelter of Krishna. Does anybody here not know what a chandelier is? Girls, you know what a chandelier is? You've heard of such a thing? Chandelier? She's saying yes. What do you say? Not sure? If you say yes, then I'm going to ask you what it is. So you're not sure, right? Why are you looking at her? Look, I'm asking you. You know what a chandelier is? Yes? Crystal. not glass or plastic, but crystal in different shapes hanging from the ceiling, and like maybe a chain or something like that, and then it kind of spread out in different shapes and configurations to different chandeliers. And then there's lights, and the light that shines through the crystal diffuses the light so it's soft light, not harsh. Very attractive. If you don't attach the chandelier to the ceiling by that chain, just lay it on the floor, not so attractive. Light isn't going to shine through the crystal, and it's just not the same. So the effect of the crystal is made because of that one piece that hangs from the ceiling. And the whole chandelier is hanging from that one thing, the connection to the ceiling. I'm using that example to say that this description in chapter 6 and so many of the other descriptions of Bhagavad Gita, they're elements of bhakti, yoga. The whole of Bhagavad Gita is about devotional service to Krishna. Here's some emphasis on what the mind is to do. What the mind is to do in transcendence is dependent upon taking shelter of Krishna. Say it the other way. Don't take shelter of Krishna. You'll never have any realization of what this is. That's what Prabhupada is saying in the book. Book knowledge, you'll never have any realization of what all this stuff is. You'll never experience it. Transcendence. In a state where the mind is peaceful. And you see pebble stones and gold equal. You see different people in different social circumstances equal. You'll never know what that experience is. Because it's like the chandelier, it's hanging from one thing. Concluding instruction that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. And two boys that went to Guru. What's the concluding instruction that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita? Chapter 18, text 66. Sarvadharma? So that's, of all the dharmas, all forms of dharma, sarva dharma, parityaja. Parityaja. Abandon all other dharmas and just take shelter of this one dharma. What's that one dharma? Mam ekam sharanam. That's the chain that holds the whole chandelier. The whole chandelier is suspended from. All the other beneficial things that one can do in life it's fully dependent for its mature manifestation on this one thing. It's good to be ethical. It's good to be the other things that are found within any scripture of the world, quality of goodness items. They're good, but they're not going to bring one to the place where the mind is not disturbed, or where you can see the soul, or you can see Krishna, and you can experience that exchange of love between the master and the servant and the master, the exchange of love. One cannot experience that without that taking shelter. The benefit of all those other things, pious things and motive Buddhist things and spiritual things, is to come to that position. They're assisted by, and their fulfillment is, they're taking shelter. So my point in speaking like this is, these messages that we hear from Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, the heading is Dhyan Yoga, but we're meant to apply it in bhakti, in our life of devotion. We're to see with equal vision different people and different objects in terms of our service to Krishna. we want to make offerings of something nice to Krishna. That's bhakti. Supposing you don't have something nice, or as nice as what you would like. I'd like to offer, as we were driving here, I saw this humongous church, and I thought, wow, that'd be a great temple. And here we are in a basement. So we're offering to Krishna what we have. And Krishna will accept that offering according to our needs and our capacity. We would like to. I remember hearing the description of HH Romapada was describing when Prabhupada was walking around Manhattan. You look at big buildings and say to the devotees he was walking with, that would be a nice temple for Krishna. So no harm to hanker to offer something nice to Krishna. And then within the means that we have, we offer with love and devotion, even it may be less than spectacular. We offer with love and devotion. And that's what Krishna wants, is our love and devotion. Not just something opulent, not gold, please. I don't want those stones and pebbles. I don't want the less significant things. Only the lavish things. That's not Krishna. When we can come to that stage, then the mind can become steady. We associate with devotees who are pure in consciousness. We can develop that consciousness also. The mind can become steady, and there'll be this neutrality towards the circumstances of life, ever-changing circumstances of life. And we need to apply it. Application, please. Then knowledge becomes realized. Was there a time when you didn't have these air conditioners? I'm thinking about, the changing of circumstances. I think I remember being here one time it was really hot. Now we have air conditioning too. A little noise, but temperature's nice. Krishna provides. And if Krishna didn't have that, we try our best to hear and absorb the message of Krishna consciousness. We utilize things in Krishna's service, and we utilize them in the spirit of devotion. Whatever we have, we offer to Krishna. Any discussion?
Maharaj, mind seems to be so important in devotional service, controlling the mind.
Yes.
This can take us down, it says in one verse, it can be a friend or also the enemy. There's a verse in Bhagavatam that I need some explanation in, where it says,
You want the microphone? Where's the other microphone?
stands for tonight's class. I just wish that you explain this verse in Bhagavatam. It says that these people are not the cause of my happiness and distress, nor the devatas, nor my past activities, but it's the mind only which is responsible for happiness and distress, and which perpetuates material existence. So I'm tending to think that the mind, why it's stated like this, the mind only. It's not past activities. Even whether the mind is the reason, the cause for us to perform good or bad activities.
You're making a statement. You're not asking
So-
a question.
It's kind of contradictory. It says it's not that my past activities that is the cause of my happiness and distress, but it's the mind only. Can you explain that?
Okay. Do you understand the question? No. I'll see if I can restate the question. Commonly, in our lives as devotees, when some bad situation comes, and it hurts, but not either physically or mentally or somehow there's some hurt, we think it's our karma. He's stating, the Bhagavatam, as he's referring to a verse from the Bhagavatam, says it's not due to karma, it's due to the mind. Could you explain? Well, supposing you're Haridas Thakur, and supposing you're being whipped in 22 marketplaces. He was simply praying that these persons who are doing this bad thing be forgiven. He wasn't. Because his mind was in transcendence, for him it wasn't difficult. There's another episode where Haridas was put in, he was to be arrested for chanting Hare Krishna by the Muslim magistrate. So, waiting for his trial before the Muslim magistrate, he was put in jail. And when he entered the jail, all the other prisoners in jail thought, wow, fantastic. A saint has come into the jail. Now our lives, even we're in jail, we're so fortunate, our lives are blessed. The Haridas said, yes, I give you this benediction. May you always stay like this. They said, oh no, what kind of benediction is that? And Haridas said, you don't understand. The benediction that may you always stay like this is, you're not in a situation where you can even engage in sense gratification at all because you're in prison. You're in this mood, rather, that you're deeply depending upon the Supreme Lord. You're calling out to Him in a prayerful mood. May you always stay in that condition. That's the mind. Now the external condition, he said, don't worry, in 2-3 days, you're all going to be released from prison. Mark my words. You'll all be, so the external circumstance is going to change. May the mind not see the present circumstance as happy or unhappy. Let the mind be absorbed in transcendence. And when the mind is absorbed in transcendence, then the circumstance may be this or that. You may be in prison or released from prison. But your happiness is not found in either one, or distress in either one. The distress is within the mind. The place where suffering begins is in the mind. It's how you see the circumstance. You follow? There's this saying, I'll give another example. There's this saying, one man's food is another man's poison. You've heard that before?
Yeah.
I remember every day when we would come back from Harinam Sankirtan to the temple, we'd go across the Brooklyn Bridge, or Manhattan Bridge. And in the evening, going through Chinatown before you get to the Manhattan Bridge, everyone's cooking. And it stinks. But for the people that are cooking, it smells good. But we have to roll up our window and stinko. But according to the modes of nature, that's nice, or it stinks. But that's the modes of nature. And according to modes of nature and karma, this seems nice, that seems unpleasant. But it's the resting place for that is the mind. Now, let's take another example. A person in the mode of goodness. They're not comfortable if something is unclean. Prabhupada described the nature of a person in the mode of goodness is before they begin their activity, they make the place clean. During the time that they're using the space, they keep the place clean. And when they're done, they make it again clean. Like you're describing the activity in the kitchen or the workplace where you do your work. That's the mode of goodness person. And it's inviting for a mode of goodness person to come into a place that's clean. In the mode of ignorance person, it's just the opposite. They're not comfortable that it's clean. They'll make the place that's clean not clean quickly. Just due to the modes of nature. The place where one has the sense of happiness is within the mind. It's not out there, it's within the mind. So events may come your way that look like good karma, bad karma. And it's good karma, bad karma, but the happiness is not good karma, it's the happiness is within the mind. Yes?
Maharaj, for someone who cannot see at the level of neutrality, how to check the level of surrenderance?
How to check the level of?
Surrenderance. How to know to what extent we are surrendered? Neutrality is
How to know to what extent we are surrendered.
Neutrality is fast for some people, like looking at everything and everyone in the same way. For those people, how do they check on their level of surrenderance?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Let me try to say that. I'm one of those people that I know the goal is up here, neutrality towards temporary things. I'm not there, I'm down here, where I feel some attraction and repulsion for temporary things or circumstances. Now, that part's easy. The part that's not so clear is, how does one measure the level of surrender? Of steadiness and unsteadiness. Let's say someone doesn't have that full stage of realization, but they have faith. So, there may be some disturbance of the mind, but you tolerate that because you understand, I want to get to that place where I'm in transcendence. Then that's a surrender to an instruction of Krishna, a position to take. And then how steady one is in doing so, it indicates the degree of surrender. How much I'm pushed and pulled by the modes of nature and my feelings, whatever is going on in the mind. Attraction, repulsion, lust, anger, greed, fear, whatever. The degree to which I'm influenced by those things is an indicator of the degree of surrender. Because the full surrender is the state of neutrality is there. What's next? Marty. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Maharaj ki Jai.